All right, welcome back. I'm redoing some of my old playlist videos because the narration audio was pretty bad. And I'm reorganizing how I'm teaching my Max class, so I need to explain some things in a different way. Um, so here goes. I'm picking up where I left off with my first playlist video. I have um, 4 sound files in a playlist, clips 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have been focusing on mostly manual controls, so I can select things with a mouse, I can play and stop. I can also do this, and the one bit of automation I've added is playing them from the keyboard with the number keys, and 0 to stop. So I want to continue on with some of the manipulation I can do, and get into then some real-time transformations. So want to start manipulating this with commands rather than just manually with the mouse. And as I get started, unlock the patch. Also going to make one little change and call your attention to something that's built in the interface, is that objects have properties. Over here, if you do click on I for inspector, opens up a window. And it's the inspector for live gain, since that's selected. And I'm going to change the orientation, this vertical gain slider and level meter, and look down here into orientation, change it to horizontal. And the reason I'm doing that is just visual space. Since the playlist is more horizontal, I'm going to make the level meter and gain control horizontal, and I can save some visual space, condense things a little bit as I get started. So if I go to another object, for instance, like the playlist, I get a different set of inspector properties. Number has them too. It's a way I can change fonts or sizes of fonts, colors of objects, variety of things. But for now, close that back out. And as we're going along, so pretty much everything I can do from the mouse, I can do with messages or commands coming from within Max, and can set those things up. So for instance, I can turn looping on and off with a command. I can change the selection point with a command. I can change the speed of playback. And I just want to go through and as it goes, typically, I'll type a comment up here so we can keep track of it. It's these messages take the form of the parameter I want to change, the clip number I want to change, I want this to affect, and then the value of whatever's being changed. So I'll just leave that comment up here so we refer back to it. Let's look at looping. So using messages, I'll put one over here, message objects. I can look through, and using the command loop, the clip number and the value, one would be true or on. Connect that to the message, left inlet, and make another one. Just going to option drag and copy. Same command, same clip number, but this time let's turn it off. So if I like the patch, I'm turning the loop off, and I can turn it back on with a message, off with a message. Now, if I want to control all 4 things in the playlist, I'd need 8 of these fixed messages, but there's an easier way to do this, slightly, is that I can use variables. So in the message object, I can replace one of the fixed parameters with a variable that listens to input. So let's take this first one, and change the value to $1. And the $1 is a type of variable in a list. It means look at the first item coming into the message, first item in a list. If there's only one item, that's what it's looking at. And it then outputs the message with whatever value came in. So I'm going to use a toggle, which, if I can set up a print object, lock the patch. If it is on, sends out a 1. I've got my max console floating down here at the bottom. It says 1. When I turn it off, it's a 0. So it's sending a 1 or a 0. And those were the values I was using to turn looping on and off. So it's a perfect thing to hook up to my loop message. Push that in. And nothing changes because the loop was on, but now the loop turns off, turns on, turns off. And I have control. So I can set up, unlock my patch, set up 4 of these. Doing a little option dragging. Go into the message and change what clip number these refer to. And start attaching these to the inlet, left inlet of the playlist. And now I'm able to turn looping on or off for each one from the keyboard. From a command. I'm still doing it with the mouse, which is really no different than clicking on my loop control, except that if I can do it with my mouse, I can do it with some other kind of automation that's derived from the program. And I'm going to clean up a little bit. So I'm starting to get a lot of patch cords just for some simple things. And let's talk a little bit about organization. So let me unlock the patch. Erase these patch cords. And something I can do, let's move these over here. I'm going to create kind of a parameter area. So loop control. I can create virtual patch cords. I mean, they're all virtual, it's in the computer, but hidden patch cords. I can send things from one place to another with send and receive objects. So send is just the letter S. And then I need to name it, which is required because the receive object has to have a matching name. So I'm going to say that this is loop control. And now I can patch everything into this, or all my loop messages into this. And I can over here type a receive message, R, and the matching name, loop control. You want to really check these to make sure this is where you make typos, and if there's any difference, then the messages don't get sent. But now, one patch cord going in for the 4 messages. And I can turn looping off for any of them remotely and still have the ability to play. So if I turn looping off while it's playing, it's going to stop. Move back in. So that's just the start of making little parameters for this. And I'm going to stop there so that we can move on to doing some loop selection through the interface rather than just dragging on the clips. So that'll be next video.